Aspire to a clean career, leaving no shame for descendants. Hello everyone. Welcome to Encountering Chinese Case Stories, Cases Judged by Bao Gong. Today, I'm going to bring you a story called Embroidered Shoes Hidden in the Mud. In a place called Jinjiang, 45 miles from Kaifeng, lived a wealthy merchant named Wang Sanlang. Wang Sanlang traveled far and wide for business and later married a beautiful and virtuous wife, Zhu Druan. The couple was deeply in love. One day, Wang Sanlang discussed with his wife the idea of going away again for business. Zhu Druan advised him not to go, so Wang Sanlang followed his wife's suggestion and only conducted business nearby. Li Bin, who lived across the street from Wang Sanlang and his wife, had once been an official in the local government. However, he was dismissed from his position due to misconduct. Li Bin was known for his cunning and malicious nature, and he was infatuated with Zhu Druan's beauty. He harbored ill intentions and tried repeatedly to have an affair with her, but his attempts were unsuccessful. One morning, Li Bin saw Wang Sanlang leave and decided to dress up carefully before going to Wang's house. As soon as Li Bin entered the courtyard, he called out, "Is Wang Sanlang at home?" Zhu Druan had just gotten up and, hearing someone at the door, asked, "Who is looking for Sanlang?" "He went out early this morning." Li Bin then entered the house and said to Zhu Druan, "I have something to discuss with Brother Wang. Do you know when he will be back?" Seeing that the visitor was their neighbor Li Bin, Zhu Druan replied, "He just left and won't return until evening." At this moment, Li Bin noticed that Zhu Druan had not yet tidied her hair or applied makeup, but she still had a unique charm. He was instantly filled with lustful thoughts. He grabbed Zhu Druan's hand and said, "Sister-in-law, please sit. Since my brother is not at home, I will tell you what I need to say, and you can pass it on to him tonight." Realizing Li Bin's intentions, Zhu Druan was furious and scolded him. "You are a grown man and yet you don't understand the difference between men and women. How can you come to harass another man's wife in broad daylight? You're worse than a beast." After saying this, Zhu Druan went back inside and ignored Li Bin. Ashamed and enraged, Li Bin thought to himself, "If Wang Sanlang returns tonight, his wife will surely tell him what happened today. Our families will end up with a deep grudge. It's better to kill Zhu Druan. This way, I can prevent her from talking and also vent my anger." So, Li Bin took a sharp knife and returned to Wang's house. He saw Zhu Druan leaning against the railing, lost in thought, and angrily shouted, "Do you still recognize me, Li Bin?" When Zhu Druan saw Li Bin back again, she cursed him. "You scoundrel, get out immediately." Without giving her a chance to say more, Li Bin drew the knife and stabbed her in the throat. Zhu Druan fell to the ground, bleeding profusely. It was tragic for such a beautiful woman to perish so suddenly. Li Bin, still fixated on her, took her shoes and left Wang's house. He buried the knife and shoes beside a pavilion near Jinjiang. Zhu Nianliu, Zhu Druan's cousin, was a frequent traveler. On this day, his boat docked at the mouth of Jinjiang. Zhu Nianliu planned to visit his cousin, so as night fell, he arrived at Zhu's house. After calling out a few times without receiving a response, he walked around the railing and approached the front door. Seeing that there were no lights inside, he regretfully left. Back on the boat, Zhu Nianliu noticed that his shoes were wet but didn't examine them closely. He put them aside to dry. That night, when Wang Sanlang returned home and called for his wife without getting a reply, he went to the kitchen to light a lamp and discovered that the house was not locked. This puzzled him. Wang Sanlang searched the house and found a corpse lying near the railing, with blood everywhere. Upon closer inspection, he realized it was his wife, Zhu Druan, and that her shoes were missing. Wang Sanlang, holding his wife's body, saw the knife wound on her throat and cried out, "Who killed my wife?" The next day, neighbors came to Wang's house upon hearing the news and confirmed that Zhu Druan had indeed been murdered, but no one knew the killer's identity. Someone suggested, "I noticed a trail of blood outside the door. We can follow it and maybe find the murderer." Wang Sanlang took the advice and gathered a group of neighbors to trace the blood trail, which led them to Zhu Nianliu's boat. Wang Sanlang boarded the boat, seized Zhu Nianliu, and shouted, "I haven't wronged you in any way. Why did you kill my wife?" Zhu Nianliu was stunned and unable to explain himself. He was beaten by the neighbors and bound before being taken to Wang's house and then to the Kaifeng prefecture for further investigation. Gong questioned the neighboring witnesses, and everyone said that Zhu Nianliu had killed his cousin Zhu Druan, with the blood trail indeed ending on his boat. Gong then asked Zhu Nianliu about the events. Zhu Nianliu cried and said, "Wang Sanlang is my cousin-in-law. Yesterday evening, I went to his house but left when I found no one was home. As for why there was blood on my shoes, I don't know how it happened." After hearing the testimonies, Gong pondered. If Zhu Nianliu was the killer, why would he take Zhu Druan's shoes? The witnesses had searched the boat but found neither the shoes nor the murder weapon. Moreover, Zhu Nianliu didn't seem to have a strong motive for the murder. This case still had unresolved doubts. With this in mind, Gong decided to imprison Zhu Nianliu and came up with a plan. He ordered a notice to be posted, which read, "Wang Sanlang's wife, Zhu Druan, has been murdered, and her shoes are missing. Wang Sanlang deeply misses his wife and hopes to find the shoes to remember her by. Anyone who can find and return the shoes to the authorities will be generously rewarded." However, after a month of posting the notice, there was still no news. One day, Li Bin was secretly drinking at a guest house owned by a beautiful woman in the village, and their relationship was rather intimate. As Li Bin grew red-faced and heated from drinking, he said to the woman, "Since you've been so kind to me, I want to reward you with a large sum of silver." The woman, hearing this, smiled and said, "You often come to my place, but I've never taken a single penny from you. Now you say you want to give me a large sum of silver? Don't try to deceive me." Li Bin replied, "If I can get the reward from the authorities, I'll come back and drink with you. Then, I'll repay you properly." The woman asked why, and Li Bin explained. "The other day, Wang Sanlang's wife was murdered, and Zhu Nianliu has been imprisoned because of this case. Last month, Bao Gong issued a notice saying that anyone who finds Zhu Druan's shoes will be generously rewarded. I know where those embroidered shoes are. I'm telling you now so that tomorrow you can have your husband take them to the authorities to claim the reward." The woman asked, "How do you know where the shoes are?" Li Bin said, "A few days ago, at the riverbank, I saw something unusual beside a pavilion. On closer inspection, it was a pair of women's embroidered shoes and a knife. These items were covered with soil, so they must be the shoes of the murdered woman." The woman was skeptical, but after Li Bin left, she secretly told her husband about the matter. The next day, as instructed by his wife, the husband went to the riverbank and dug up the freshly disturbed soil. He indeed found a pair of embroidered shoes and a knife and quickly brought them home to show his wife. The woman was overjoyed, confirming that Li Bin's information was accurate. She then had her husband take these items to the Kaifeng prefecture to see Bao Gong. Bao Gong asked, "How did you find these items?" The husband did not dare to hide anything and truthfully said that it was his wife who had informed him. Bao Gong suspected that the wife must be involved in the case, so he smiled and said to the husband, "I'll reward you with some money. You can go now." He then instructed the treasury official to give the man 50 coins as a reward. The man thanked him and left. Bao Gong then called in the 2 constables, Zhang and Zhao, and secretly instructed them. According to what he said, he didn't know about the matter, but his wife did. However, his wife has no motive for the crime. I suspect that his wife must be involved with someone else and informed him afterward. You two follow the village man secretly and investigate if his wife is involved with anyone else. If you see any other people coming in and out of their home, arrest them and bring them to the authorities." The constables took their orders and left. The beautiful woman's husband, having received the reward money, happily returned home and told his wife about the reward. The wife, delighted, said, "I heard about this from Li Bin. Since we've received the reward, it's only right that we share it with Li Bin for his contribution. Invite him over so we can give him his share." The husband agreed with his wife's suggestion and went to invite Li Bin. When Li Bin arrived, the beautiful woman greeted him with a smiling face, flattering him even more. She invited him into their home, prepared food and drink, and they all sat down together. The woman said to Li Bin, "Thanks to you, my husband and I were able to get the reward. We don't want to keep it all to ourselves, so we wish to share it with you." Li Bin smiled and replied, "Part of my share can be considered as payment for the drinks, and the other part can be used to cover my lodging expenses when I get drunk in the future." The woman laughed heartily at his response. At that moment, 2 constables suddenly burst in, arresting both Li Bin and the beautiful woman and escorting them to the authorities. They reported to Bao Gong what had been said during the feast. Bao Gong asked the woman, "How did you know where the victim's shoes were buried?" Terrified, the woman dared not lie and confessed that Li Bin had told her. Bao Gong then interrogated Li Bin, who initially refused to admit anything but could not explain how he knew the location of the shoes and the weapon. Enraged, Bao Gong subjected him to severe torture. Unable to withstand the punishment and with no excuse left, Li Bin confessed to the murder of Zhu Druan. Bao Gong further questioned the woman about her relationship with Li Bin. Unable to deny, she also admitted to having an affair with him. The case was thus solved. Bao Gong documented the case, sentenced Li Bin to death, and exiled the beautiful woman to a remote area. Zhu Nianliu's innocence was finally vindicated, and everyone who heard of the case felt a sense of relief. Alright. Today's case story, Embroidered Shoes Hidden in the Mud, concludes here. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe. Feel free to leave your comments and share with others. See you again in the next issue.